It'll go live. Oh, there we go. Hey, you was worried about how we gonna dance at your wedding. We'll be nice and reserved.
Reserved.
Oh,
right.
Oh, we're live now. My bad. Well. It is midnight on the right coast.
I mean, you are to the right of me.
And 9 a.m. on the left coast. And someone in between all this nonsense is the usually dry, but now humid New Mexico.
Oh, it's humid? Gross.
Like 87% humidity down here in the desert. What in the haberdasheries and hemoglobin is going on here?
Maybe it'll rain.
Welcome to CNC SciFi Grill on a very late edition. This will actually go up on the podcasts or podcasting venues like iTunes and Spotify as soon as we get through this, because usually I post it at 1 a.m. anyway on a Sunday. So I am one of your hosts, Cliff. And hello, Elijah. Thank you for the big nose in the camera. To the left is Christina. And down below, and last but not least, let me say it right. Big Nate.
America.
With his America hat.
Merc.
And we are here to discuss What If Episode 2, which I must say was not that the first episode was bad, but this was far and away a much more interesting episode, at least to me. And yes, it did. It started off so strong, and it was a strong story, and then the ending hits you in the feels because you're like, oh, damn, that person's gone, so he can't do this anymore. Son of a bitch.
Pardon me while I cry.
So, before we get started, just to let everyone know, there will be spoilers. We will be talking about things that has happened. So, as usual, if you don't want to hear about it, leave the show.
Bye.
Just check us out on the podcast after you've watched What If Episode 2.
But here's the thing. Today is Saturday.
And you can't. Come on now. People work. Christina just saw it 30 minutes ago.
If you ain't watched it by now, you got to consider if your fandom. Consider it.
So we started off with the Watcher. We started off with the Watcher, played by Jeffrey Wright, who is doing a spectacular job as just a voice.
Oh, he is killing it.
He is the Morgan Freeman of What If and Marvel. I just need him to narrate every Marvel thing going forward.
He is the Morgan Freeman without all the gray and all the stuff on his face. Morgan Freeman, he is the Morgan Freeman without the moles.
I don't want to talk about how old Morgan Freeman is. I want to talk about it.
What?
That's another thing I'm not ready for. I'm not ready for that.
Well, Jeffrey Wright isn't exactly. He's around. How old is Jeffrey Wright? Let's see.
About 50.
Yeah, I thought he was.
I'm just saying.
Oh, he was 1965. He is. He's 55.
I am not prepared for the day where I wake up and I see some title. I'm not prepared. I do not want that news headline anywhere in my near future.
So, Nate, just so you know, Jeffrey Wright is a Sagittarius.
I knew it. 7th. He's smooth.
And he keep talking.
You don't know when to shut up. Damn Sagittarius.
So this episode is about T'Challa, played by the late Chadwick Boseman.
Say hello, Jackson.
So
Adorable.
played by the late Chadwick Boseman, who we lost
R.I.P.
2019. And what happens if he became Starlord? So basically, Yondu's outsourced the pickup of the child to Taserface and good God, Jeffrey Gunn's brother's character, or not Jeffrey Gunn's, but Gunn's, the director's character.
James Gunn's brother.
Yeah, James Gunn's brother, who has appeared in every one of his movies.
Hold on. He outsourced it to Idiot 1
What?
and 2.
Nepotism?
Yes.
No way. Nepotism in Hollywood? For shame.
What? He's
Hey,
got
listen.
2 eye holes, 2 ear holes, and 1 mouth hole.
And one eat hole.
And Yondu put up a picture
like-
going, "Does this look like this guy?"
This kid is black, sir.
He didn't want to
First of
say
all,
that.
This kid is black.
They-
I know.
They went around it nicely. They said, "Does this look like the same person?"
He's like, does this kid look white to you? No.
No.
So, but we started off with T'Challa talking to his father, T'Chaka, basically saying, you know, I want to go into the outside world. I want to explore. I want to see things. And T'Chaka's like, dude, no, ain't nothing out there but war and stuff.
Nothing out there for you.
Right.
But he did acknowledge, Dad did acknowledge that he had a explorer, or his heart or spirit, something like
Yes. And T'Chaka said he has that too in him, but he, so he gets taken, and then Yondu's like, well, and T'Challa's like, look, I want to see the world. And Yondu's like, well, dude, how about the
I can
universe?
show you the universe. I can show you the world.
And then we flash to the biggest change in
It was
Starlord's
dopity dope.
Starlord's history. So, just so you guys know, this happened in 1988. 1988 was when T'Challa was taken.
He was taken in 88, right?
It's 2008, so that is before the Avengers assembled the first time. It's before Cap is brought out of ice. It's before Thor, and I think it might be after Iron Man revealed himself. I think the first Iron Man was 2008. I can't recall. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's around the time that Iron Man's revealed himself, and so the Guardians are not together. Avengers have not formed. Thor hasn't come to Earth yet, and Captain America's still frozen on ice. So it's way before anything. So that's why they can get away with a lot of stuff they did. So the first part kind of starts off like Guardians of the Galaxy, where Star-Lord, steals the Power Stone. But the fanboying by Korvath was to a level.
He was like, should I bow? Should I kneel?
I should be kneeling. I should be kneeling, right?
No.
You're a Lord.
No. The mere fact that they knew who Star-Lord was a huge difference from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah. Star-Lord? You haven't heard of me?
He was like, no. Like the look on his face, he was just like, I don't know who you are, man. I'm tired.
But when he saw T'Challa as Star-Lord, he was like, what do you need? I want to.
We are in the presence of royalty.
But I also think it just shows, like, the fact that he knew who he was instantly. It just shows the differences in character between Peter Quill and T'Challa.
Yes.
Because, like, T'Challa turned the Ravagers into a force of good. Peter Quill was kind of
they
like,
were basically Robin Hood. They were basically Robin Hood. In the
they were literally like Robin Hood.
Look at how the effect was. He was a prince in all of his life. Whether he was raised as a prince or whether he went with these Ravagers, he was able to affect the world around him in such a different way than Peter, Dairy Queen, Quill. Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry.
We haven't even got to how he affected the world the most yet. We have not gotten to that.
Oh, we ain't got it yet. I'm just saying.
So
change.
So he ends up beating Korvath, and Korvath, he was just so happy. He was like, "Thank you for letting me fight you. I wanted to join your group." And
it will
he's
be
like,
an honor.
"We don't have any openings right now, like they're taking applications. He's like, we don't have any openings right now, but I'll leave. You just leave your name and number.
Well,
we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Now he did defeat the other two the same way he beat that Peter's character beat them in Guardians of the Galaxy, where he threw the little device down, which threw up the little dome. Yeah. But he ends up taking Korav anyway. He's like, you know what? I've taken worse, so he took him along.
I mean, hello, Dumb and Dumber.
Yes. So outside is the base of the rest of Ronan's army, which to Korvath's point, he was like, you know, my boss is a jerk. I don't want to really do this, but I have to. So, so the question is,
I'm willing to change career paths.
If y'all remember Guardians of the Galaxy, it was Thanos that sent Ronan to get that stone,
right?
That commissioned stone. So who commissioned him in this one?
I'm assuming it was the Collector.
Possibly.
Or it could have been Ronan on his own.
Yes, this is true.
I mean,
and this is much earlier than when Starlord, when Peter Quill went to go get it, because this is 2008.
This was like after. This was the first one was after the Avengers, which was like 2011.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So he goes outside. There's a bunch of Ronan's forces out there, and he's like, "A Ravenger never fights alone." And he's like, dude.
Wind blows. Literally the freaking subtitle, wind blowing.
And he goes, a Ravenger fights alone. Which Yondu then shows up and decimates everybody with his arrow.
As Yondu does.
As Yondu does. Much like what he did at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 1. Yes.
But did you notice that Yondu was a happier, lighter person?
Mm-hmm.
Now that,
totally different personality.
Now that he had, the man, the myth, the legend.
And he didn't go to the dentist as much.
Yes.
Which T'Challa brings up, which Starlord brings up. He's like, if we had stayed doing the stuff that we used to do, instead of stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, you probably would have less teeth. Which I watched Guardians of the Galaxy the other day or something, and I noticed how many silver teeth y'all
how many gold and silver teeth he had in his mouth? Yeah, I got
you. So anyway, they go to the ship, and then they end up flying off to party or whatever with the rest of the group. And Korvath's sitting there, and he's like, what's your greatest thing? And he's just fanboying it up. He's like,
fanboying
out. And then he was like, and then I want to know how you dealt with Thanos. And then the biggest surprise of the whole episode was Thanos showing up.
As a Ravager.
Yes,
as a goddamn Ravager.
As a Ravager. He was like, hey, guys, what's going on?
Sometimes diplomacy is the best method. And I was like, what?
So just
and
think
he puts, wait. He puts this big, ginormous purple hand on Korvath, and the look Korvath gave, I was like, that's some damn good animation, because he looked like he about to doo-doo in his throat.
The simple fact that T'Challa could talk
convince Thanos out of genocide.
Which was the running gag in the whole episode, which was hilarious.
So sometimes the best thing in your arsenal is a good argument.
Which Peter could never do. He couldn't.
Oh, of course not.
Because he was a jerk. He was a great
asshole.
Jerk. I love Starlord, but he was an idiot half the time. He had smart ideas, but he had smart ideas now. He could plan and do other stuff, but he just was so off the cuff and stupid. I mean, think about what happened when they got Thor, and he was sitting there. I didn't change my voice.
Or, the whole ending of freaking Infinity War.
And that was supposed to happen. But yes, they knew that was going to happen, right? That was always the plan, was for that all to happen. So, and then Nebula shows. Well, no, sorry. Drax shows up, and he's a bartender at the bar. Now, they didn't get Batista's voice, and there was some back and forth saying they never asked him, and the guy and the writers or the producers was like, no, your schedule was tight, so we couldn't get you. and it just never manifested. So we don't know whose fault it was, but it was somebody else voicing him, and he was only had like a 10, 20-second cameo
he
where
was
he's
only
taking
there
a
for a little
picture.
bit.
But you couldn't really tell that it was kind of like Captain America in the last one. It was kind of like Steve Rogers' last one.
You really couldn't tell.
You really couldn't tell it wasn't Dave Bautista's voice. You couldn't. At least I couldn't. I knew it wasn't because I had known beforehand, but you really couldn't tell.
I thought it was.
And Dave's family is alive. Or I'm sorry, Drax's family is alive because Thanos never killed him.
Because he saved them.
Yes.
Wait. But we need to take another picture because you look terrible.
I look
however,
great.
look amazing.
I look amazing. So Drax is taking pictures to send to his wife, saying they met Starlord. And then my girl Nebula showed up, voiced by Karen Gillian again. And she has hair, people. Yeah. She has hair. Blonde,
she's also just 100% normal. Besides her
except
eye.
for her eye. Yeah, except for her eye. So the only thing Thanos modified on her was her eye. But she calls him Cha-Cha. And just so everyone knows, Chadwick put a lot of different personality into this T'Challa, and it was supposed to actually come out in Black Panther 2, God willing, if he had lived long enough to play in it, but it was supposed to come out in that, like, this is really how T'Challa is. This is his personality. It didn't really show, bless you, it didn't really show in the first movie. I mean, T'Challa had a personality in there, but it wasn't.
Yeah, but he was a lot more serious because of like what was going on, and he was recovering from his dad.
Right.
But I think this one was supposed to show like a more playful side to T'Challa, which he definitely had. I mean, watch him with fucking Zuri.
Yes. Oh yeah, he loves his sister. They enjoy themselves in Black Panther.
So funny.
What are those?
Did he freeze? like an antelope.
Yes, yes, he froze.
I never freeze. Okay, sure one. Whatever you say.
Yeah. So Nebula's there to pull him in on a job. So it's basically an Ocean's 11 job, because while Thanos stepped down out of power, the Collector decided to become a gangster and become a more powerful. Well, in the Marvel comics, he has a lot bigger role than what he had in the movies. I like that they made him an eccentric person that he is.
Crazy man.
And that kind of goes along with his brother, who is the Game Master, who is Jeff Goldblum. They're both eccentric, crazy people.
Yeah, because aren't they like, what are they? Not Eternals.
They're entities. They're entities in the comic books. They're more like figureheads in the background doing stuff, and the Collector does collect people and put them in the cages and stuff. He's kind of like Brainiac, except he doesn't destroy whole worlds like Brainiac does, but he does collect things. And Game Master does set up games of scale, though, that would, they're pitting worlds against worlds and betting on things like they're playing chess. It's kind of insane. But basically, she wants to steal some seeds that will basically terraform any planet.
But wait, isn't he?
She was so buff.
But I looked it up. He's a Celestial.
Yes, as is the Game Master.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they're, living in.
Well, they're not Celestials. I didn't think they were Celestials. No, Celestials are certain beings.
No, they're Celestials.
Isn't Ego a Celestial?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
As is a living tribunal who showed up in Loki, when they were at the end of the world, and the world was being eaten by his face was there. They never really got into that, so they but so they end up he ends up coaxing Yondu into doing this, because Yondu's like, no, we ain't messing with the Collector, you crazy, because the Blackguard, who was the people that were fighting the Avengers with Thanos, that was his advanced guard that was kicking everybody's butt. They work, since Thanos is no longer a warlord, they work for the Collector. So Ebony Maw's there, and all the other guys are there. So they end up going to the homeworld. They sneak Starlord in. Starlord goes off, and he runs into Howard the Duck. But the funny way of causing a distraction was Korvath kept calling. He came up with a nickname for Thanos, and Thanos was like, "Oh no, bitch, you the new guy. We ain't getting away with that." And it was Captain Genocide. Because Thanos' running gag was genocide was a good idea, guys. It's efficient, and everybody would just start moaning like, "Oh God, no, not this shit again."
Here he goes again.
Like, but it's efficient. Just sounds like genocide, big guy.
But it's efficient.
Also, we saw Nebula, but where was Gamora?
I'll get to that later. So, because she's about the same age as T'Challa and Peter. Nebula. They're all about the same age. But so while he's running through the collection, and there's so many more things there than what was in the collector's place in Guardians of the Galaxy. He had so many dark elves, and Howard the Duck was still there, and then the dog was there, and a lot of folks are mad about the dog, and that's from the Marvel Universe. They're mad because that dog is actually, he can talk and he has telepathic abilities, but he's also like the commander of a space station or something.
Yes.
He has a bigger role, but I'm like, they really couldn't go into that on any of these movies or anything like that. I mean, nobody cares.
It's a big side story.
Yeah.
I was about to say, what time do they have in this movie to do that deep of a side story?
They didn't have that time in Guardians of the Galaxy, and they did not have that time in this. Karina is there, who we saw die in Guardians of the Galaxy when she grabbed the Power Stone because she thought she could just, grab it.
Be free.
Yes, to be free. So they Howard, he frees Howard the Duck out, and Howard is Howard the Duck. He's Howard the Duck. And that's what stopped T'Challa for a little bit, because he was like, wait a minute, there's a talking duck here. And I'm sitting there like, well, is that really, you've been around aliens and Lord only knows what if, so what, there's a talking duck. Big deal. Is that really outside of the realm of anything that you've seen before?
But Dad, it's a talking duck.
He's been around aliens.
But Dad, it's a talking duck.
That drinks martinis.
Apparently. I wonder if they're shaken or stirred.
Yes. So Howard explains how to get to where the seeds are, and T'Challa's like, nah, dude, you're going to have... I'll just free you. You can show me. Right. But Howard barely gets anywhere, and he's like, oh, look, here's a bar right here. We'll just stop right here and I'll get a drink.
Just help me out.
Right. That's all he's worried about. But then, so T'Challa takes off. If you guys didn't notice it, while he was running, there was a bunch of ships before he got to the one ship where he stopped at. One of the ships was an X-Wing.
That's what I was about to say. Yes. One of them was an X-Wing fighter, I know.
Mm-hmm. And one of them was actually the ship, I think the Quantum ship, which is a little weird because why would the Quantum ship be there? Because they haven't built that one yet. The ship that they use to go to the Quantum universe.
Oh, yeah.
Huh. So, while T'Challa's running, backstory a little bit. So, as far as T'Challa knows, his country was destroyed. Because Yondu tried to return him, and Yondu said, no, Wakanda's been destroyed because of a war. So, that kept T'Challa where he was at. He didn't try to go home because, hey, my country's gone. I have no place. I'll make you guys my family. But while he's out there, his necklace starts glowing, and there is a Wakandan spacecraft. So the Wakandans advanced themselves trying to find T'Challa. Because they didn't have any spacecrafts, as far as we know, up until they hadn't had no spacecrafts.
No, they didn't even have any in,
No. So the question is, who did T'Chaka send up? Because there's a whole bunch of people sitting there. Or not sitting there, but there's mannequins. There's mannequins, yeah.
Well, no, the mannequins because the people got killed.
Yeah, Dora Milaje.
Yeah.
But the collector wanted to have them.
They wanted the ship.
Wanted the ship, but also the garb up to show what he all collected.
Yes.
So I think that the people they sent up were killed, but he wanted to keep it as close
realistic as possible.
Yeah. Right. So T'Challa sees a video from his dad basically saying, hey, if you have any information about my son, contact me here. We're looking for him. And T'Chaka, I can't remember the line he said, but it was so beautiful about. And this goes back to I think that was
like,
another beautiful thing about Chadwick.
Of all the stars,
you're always
in the
a prince,
universe,
no matter where you are.
You're the brightest light out of billions. And I was like, oh my God, my feels.
And that was, I think, that was a little bit more praise about Chadwick.
Right.
I think that was a little bit more. I don't know if that was originally in there before he passed, but I mean, because he did all his lines before he died. But I don't know if that was in there. Part of me will
like cry.
So while he's looking at that, the door opens. The Collector, Nebula walks in, and she's like, "Hey, I double-crossed you. I owed a debt, and the Collector was looking for you. He wants to collect you." So they throw everybody in prison except for Nebula because she's working with them. And T'Challa just goes off on Yondu, and he had every right to, because Yondu lied to him, and Yondu's like, "Look, I only lied to you to tell you, your family down there, they're gonna stop you from going where you're at. This is the best thing for you is to keep being an explorer. And you're like me, boy. You're an explorer." And that's kind of like what he had told, Quill in one part. He didn't tell him he was an explorer, but he's like, "You're like me." And it was kind of like what he said when he was going to Ego. He's like, he may be your father, but he ain't your daddy.
Right.
Or he may be your daddy, but he ain't your father. I can't remember which line he said.
Yeah, something like that. No, he might be your father, boy, but he ain't your daddy. Something like
that. So they come and take T'Challa away. And then so T'Challa is, talking to the Collector. He's in a cage, and he's like, "Dude, people that put people in cages, this never turns out right for them. No, Karma will always get them." And I'm like, "Really? Okay. If you say so, sir, I'll take your word for it." But so the Collector's like, "Well, dude, you're not special. I thought you were, I thought you could shoot laser beams or fly."
Right. Oh yeah,
Superman.
That was funny.
Superman. It's like, nope, just ordinary. And so he told Ebony Maw, "Well, dude, you can have him. This is always your dissect him, do whatever you want with him." And then he left him. While that's going on, Nebula shows up and is talking shit to them, and then she ends up shooting one of the Black Guards. She's like, "Haha, it was a triple cross." I'm like, oh my God. And Korvath is still in fanboy mode. "Oh, typical Starlord." Like, oh my God.
Classic Starlord. So funny.
So they end up escaping. T'Challa's still there, and she's like, "Look, T'Challa's gonna get out. Don't even worry about it." So they start running, and they're escaping. The alarms are going off. T'Challa does get out. Ebony Maw's like, "Oh, you didn't know I was a telepath, bitch?" Telekinetic. But Karina ends up killing Ebony Maw. So that's 2 Black Guards down. 2 of the Black Guard are already dead. That only leaves 2, the big guy and the lady, who is the head of the guard anyway. And so they're escaping, and then the 2 Black Guards start chasing the Ravagers who are escaping. And then Nebula, who has a distant relationship with Thanos, so they're not really close because, he did do things to her before T'Challa saved her from him. But Nebula's like, "Well, dude, Thanos like, I'm going to take them on. Don't worry about it. I got this.
Oh my God, she's
like, "Are you crazy?"
She's like,
and he's like, "No,
I'm mad."
I was like, oh God.
The Mad Titan finally struck.
He was taking him on until old girl. He was taking the big guy on until old girl showed up
and broke his kneecap. Yeah,
and hit his kneecap. But he was still even taking him on. Even then, he just couldn't. He couldn't take 2 sides.
Yeah.
And
but I literally knew what he was gonna say the second that line started.
But it was still good. It was still good.
Hilarious.
So T'Challa's running. He's trying to escape, and then the Collector shows up with one of my boy's arms. My boy from Thor Ragnarok. God, I can't think of his name. But the stone guy. Yeah, he had his arm.
His name either.
He had his arm. And
what was his name?
His name is he's a Cronin. That's his species, but I can't remember what his name is off of that. But he ends up calling down a case of weapons.
Dude,
and
that
in those
case
weapons,
of weapons,
he
Thor's
had
hammer,
Cap's
Captain
shield,
America's shield,
Thor's hammer. So Thor's hammer
Hera's
was
helmet.
Hela's helmet. He had Malekith's knife. And I don't know what else. And the reason a lot of people are saying he had Thor's hammer before, because this takes place before Odin put the curse on it, which is only somebody worthy can pick it up. So that wasn't always on there. Although it's in the comic books, of course, we all know that was always on there. But in Marvel Universe, it wasn't put on there until Thor got banished to Earth, which is you got to be worthy to pick it up. But he's kicking Starlord's butt for a good minute.
Scourge.
And then Yondu shows up and they double team him. But it still was a tough fight. It was still a tough
double
fight.
Team. Yondu was using his face to block.
Korg.
Korg. Okay, Korg. Yeah.
Hi, y'all. My name is Korg.
This is Meek.
And this is my best buddy, Thor.
So Nebula does come back and save her daddy from getting his butt whooped, and they end up escaping. The Ravagers end up escaping, but then T'Challa and
she killed another
Yondu.
One of them too.
Both of them died. So the big guy, she threw the terraforming seeds in his mouth, and he became a big plant. And
that
then
was wild.
And then the chick got swallowed by the plant.
Yeah, sure. Well, I didn't think she was dead. I just thought she got like shooed away.
Yeah,
but that's a massive height to be trying to fall from.
So they escape and they're flying off. They're like, look, Yondu and T'Challa, they'll be fine. So, and T'Challa and him do defeat the Collector. They throw him in a case, and then they give Karina his little wrist guard, which controlled all the things. And he's still trying to plead to Karina. And Karina's like, dude, really? Really? And then his excuse,
let them eat cake.
Right. And then he's like, oh God, karma. Because she basically releases everybody and they just probably beat his ass. But his line, his whole thing was, I fed and clothed you, dude. Kept us in
I put a roof over your head. Classic. Dang, I'm real bad. I'm glad I stopped myself.
Yondu and T'Challa end up escaping in T'Challa's Wakandan ship that was left behind. And then T'Challa has to make a choice if he's going to go home or if he's going to stay there. He does end up deciding to go home, and he shows up and Baba's there and Baba's all happy. So this is before Cap woke up. So that means Cap is still asleep. So that means that the Winter Soldier has not showed up to kill anybody yet. So Baron Zemo's not out yet. So none of the Avenger stuff has happened. This is still 10 years before all that.
Shuri looks so much older though.
Yeah, and Shuri really was much older than she should have been in that shot. If it's 2008,
but they could have also potentially had her sooner.
Mm-hmm.
Because like Chadwick is like in Black Panther, he's like at least 10, 12, maybe even like 15 years older than her. Because she's like at most like 18.
Mm-hmm.
During Black Panther.
He's 30.
Easily like 30. Exactly.
35, 30 something. Yeah.
So if he got captured when he was like 8.
Yeah, he was. So he would have been, he was 28.
He was 28.
When he came back.
But she looked like 20.
But Baba was really happy to see him. And everybody was happy to see him. And Thanos again, sitting at the table.
With the Dora Milaje.
And one of the Dora Milaje is like, dude, this sounds like genocide. It's like, no, but it's efficient. But it's efficient. And Nebula sitting there like, damn.
I felt the secondhand daughter embarrassment so keenly.
Now I will tell you this.
I felt it so hard.
I will tell you this, Christina. You asked about Nebula. There is a rumor, there is an episode coming out where Nebula basically where Gamora has Thanos' armor and she became a warlord. So it's possible that these two episodes are going to be connected. She ends up taking his spot.
Oh, the one that's like, what if they had different people for the Guardians of the Galaxy?
I don't know. I don't know if that's that one or what. But yeah, I guess that would be the case, right? Because he ends up becoming a guardian of the galaxy, and then she could end up becoming a warlord because, I mean, Thanos is not there to be stopped. And now the collector's gone, another power vacuum. So she can end up becoming, taking over. And we don't know what happened. She might not have, after what he did to her before she got saved, we don't know if she could have recovered from it. She might have been just pissed off at Thanos and been like, you know what, dude, I'm done. Yes, thank you for saving me, but F all y'all. I'm done.
But wait.
What even is Gamora's origin story? Like, how did he get her?
You don't remember in Avengers?
He
Infinity
massacred
War?
half of their world.
Including her mom. And he turned her head away so she wouldn't see it. And he put the knife in her hand and he made her hold it. And he was like, everything, or balance as everything
and so,
should perfectly.
But the question I had was, what if T'Challa convinced the Mad Titan to go straight before he did that?
Then no, it couldn't have been. No. Couldn't have been. You think a 9-year-old would have been able to convince Thanos to stop? Think about this. Him and Gamora are about the same age. So about the time that T'Challa's being taken off world is probably about the time that her world is being destroyed.
Gamora, yeah,
he got Gamora and Gamora looked like she was much younger than T'Challa when she got taken by Thanos.
Yeah, she was like 5 or 6.
Yeah. So you're talking about 1986, probably something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she was that super young or super old. I'm sorry. Let me see. But go ahead, CJ. Oh, but the closing thing. Let me just put this caveat on it. The closing thing is Ego finds Peter, and they're like, and he's like, "Oh, I'm glad to see you, son. I got plans for you." And his eyes start glowing. And the Watcher goes, "Well, they might have started another disaster, but that's a tale for another time." And maybe that's what that other
might have been the start of
episode,
another apocalypse.
right? But that might be what that other episode that you're talking about is about, which is what if they picked other people to be in the Guardians of the Galaxy. So that was that episode. What did you think of it, Big Nate?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought the Captain Carter episode was very exciting. I thought this was very exciting. I think this one had more heart, but I think they both were very exciting. I loved what they did with both episodes. The end of this episode was so heart touching. It was heartwarming, and the fact that that they went back and said extra when they were talking about T'Challa because everybody loved him so greatly as a human and as what he did. That, it's just all around a fantastic episode. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to see how they explain what happened to Gamora. I'm looking forward to that, actually.
Right. So, Christina, your opinion. What did you think of everything?
Pardon me while I cry.
Okay. Hold on. I'm going to take that away real quick. Okay, there we go. All right. Anyway, go ahead.
It was just very heartwarming and just the personality that he brought to T'Challa just really hits it even harder that that'll be the only way that we can see that.
Yeah. They won't be able to replace him.
And it's just the world lost a very amazing human being. And no one besides his girlfriend had any idea.
That wasn't his wife?
That was
his girlfriend?
No, they weren't married.
Oh, jeez.
Which was a whole thing.
That's like DMX and his girlfriend.
It's like a whole thing when it comes to his estate and all that stuff. It's I remember reading stuff about that because I think they were engaged but hadn't gotten married. Yeah, they were engaged and hadn't gotten married, or they got married right before he died.
I thought California had common law, no?
I think so, but I don't know if they were together.
They hadn't been together for 8 years. Now, the common law in Wisconsin is 8 years. I know that.
I can't even begin to tell you what's going on with California laws.
Okay, so here, since
But yeah,
CJ doesn't remember, this is
I really
Infinity
don't.
War, and there you
Yeah.
go. There's little Gamora. She is much longer, much younger, much younger.
Yeah, no, she is baby. She's like 6 at
Yeah.
most.
And she's looking for her mommy. So he's already done this, probably in, that universe.
They quietly married months before his death.
So she's technically married to him. So his estate should be okay with his estate then with her.
He died without a will.
But it should go to the wife, even if they've only been married for a couple months.
Yeah.
Ain't that easy.
I know. Yes, he was a wonderful person, and they had little snippets throughout, or little dedications throughout. I can't remember. Is Baba's actor still alive? The actor that played Baba, was he still
I think
alive?
so.
Okay. So was he able to then, did he voice this? I guess let me look it up and see if T'Chaka was.
But this was his last role.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Yeah. Because even Ma Rainey, like looking at Ma Rainey now compared to what he looked like in Black Panther, like you can very much so tell.
Yes.
The difference. Ma Rainey, he was a stick. The man
So
was
John Caney, he did do the voice for T'Chaka. So that's good. That's excellent. Yeah, it was a bit hard, and it doesn't hit you. And I saw a lot of Reddit responses, and a lot of people was like, "Oh yeah, I can't wait," and then they were like, and then the end hits you with the little thing at the end, the little blurb at the end, and they're just like, "Oh crap, we won't see him again."
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. I don't think I heard anybody say anything disparaging against Chadwick Boseman.
Never
at all. He was a professional in everything he did, and yeah, we lost somebody that could have been a legend that is growing. His legacy is still growing just from the things he did.
Yeah. And the person that he was.
Yeah.
And how people were.
Oh, are you talking about that jazz movie where he looked really super skinny? Oh yeah, he did. He looked.
That was his last acting role.
Yeah.
After, and I think What If was his last major thing, but yeah, Ma Rainey was his last acting role.
Yeah, because people were mad that he didn't get a thing for that. I'm like, they're not gonna. Although it was a good picture, they probably were not gonna give him and Viola anything for that, because that's just not how the Academy works. That's not how the Oscars work. Course not. You're not gonna do that. I can't remember what the next episode is. Let me see. What the next episode is, but I do, if you are going to watch them, I do advise you to see this one, because this one is one of the better ones, and I'm hoping it's just going to grow from there. But we will see what happens. It does not say what the third one's going to be. I'm trying to see if I can find it.
Well, we weren't even sure what this week's was going to be.
No, I knew what this week's was going to be. I had seen it. Somebody had put it up. Oh, I think the next one's about Loki coming to Earth. Yeah, so I think it's about Loki. What if Loki came to Earth? So we'll see how that one goes. I don't know where they're going to do with that, how it's going to be. But it's
there's a trailer uploaded by. Oh no,
I don't trust it.
They're all
don't
theories.
Trust it.
Yeah, no.
They're all the trailers that I have seen. All the preview trailers have been just the old trailers, and people are just clipping them together, and it's not a trailer for next week's episode. It's ridiculous. That being said, any closing thoughts, Christina, or any shout outs before we get out of here?
Man, R.I.P. Chadwick. What a dude. So tragic. That's all I got.
Between him, Heath Ledger, him, River Phoenix. There's been so many actors that have left us early. Some of them on their own, and some of them through just cancer sucks. Let me just put it that way: cancer sucks.
Yeah.
Big Nate, any closing thoughts or shout outs? And I already know what one of your shout outs is going to be.
Who's yelling?
Right. That's
I
what
don't
I'm
know,
wondering.
but they agree. They agree about the old school drive.
Right. Well, shout outs. Well, first off, I just got to say I'm proud of my boy for coming home and finding 2 jobs just that fast. So shout out to my Nicholas. I'm going to start eating good, hopefully starting next week. I'm going to be like, I want some steak. Anyway, but in terms of for tomorrow, the old school drive from 1 to 5 with me. Big We're rolling. 1 p.m. Mountain Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Central Time, and noon Pacific. Playing the greatest hits of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Tune in so we can flip some burgers and have some fun together.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to close out by saying rip to Chadwick, who was an awesome actor. And thank you for the time that we did have with you and for the craft that you gave us, because it was wonderful. And everything that I've seen you in, I haven't seen everything that you did, but the stuff that I have seen you in has been just freaking-tacular. With that being said, I don't have any shout outs really. But I do want to promote that I do have a Twitch channel. All of our social links are streaming down below in the stream. So mine is twitch.tv/Draconis. Big Nate's is on Instagram, the real Nate Banks.
Instagram.
And then Christina is on Instagram as well as cjasmine.music. So go on, look us up, watch us, listen to us, have fun with us. And I want to thank you all for joining us this evening. This late evening for those that tune in live, and this will be going up on iTunes and any podcasting probably in the next 13 minutes. So thanks again, and you all have a good evening or good morning. Really. Peace.
R.I.P.